I was just going to look at a few Purdue offensive team actions here in this Indiana State game. Now, Purdue's run a very similar offense for like many years just because they've had very similar personnel. They've always had a very dominant center, whether it be Williams or Ade or Matt Harms or Isaac Haas. They've always had that kind of big body that can bounce around. And they've always had a really good shooter such as Stevanovic or Carson Edwards or Dakota Mathias. And they've always had very good kind of, floor general point guards like Thompson or PJ Thompson a few years ago, I believe it was, or again, Carson Edwards. So they've always had this very similar personnel, and because of that, they run very similar offensive actions for the last few years. I'm just going to go through one of those, I'm going to go through one of those offensive actions now. So they always run this very similar screen-the-screener action kind of thing in the middle here, where they kind of have three players bundled up at the free throw line, and they kind of all circle around each other. Now, basically, when we stop the video right here with Newman at the ball on the left wing, there's like several different options that can happen here. So the first kind of option is that I believe this is Hunter, or is it Hunter or is it Williams? It's Thompson. So Thompson can either screen down here and put Stevanovic up here for an open three-point shot. So that's kind of like an initial kind of just down screen here for an open three-point shot for Stevanovic, who's their best shooter. The second option is, if we play through a little bit, is that Gillis here, this is Gillis, the four-man, he's going to bring the Indiana State four-man all the way out to the top of the perimeter and essentially open up the basket here. And he's going to run some sort of high-low action. So he'll collect the ball at the top of the perimeter, throw it into Williams, who will be isolated, and they'll kind of get them either a foul or a kind of two-point shot, layup / post-up / dunk. The other option is, and this is the one that they run, by Gillis going out to the top of the perimeter and by opening up the basket, they can essentially, if this initial screen-the-screener / cut action works, Newman here, who's like, on the left wing, can just pass it into Williams, who's going to have all the space to kind of do whatever he wants. And that's kind of the option that they go with. So he gets the ball, fakes out the initial block, and lays it up for a pretty easy two-point shot. So that's kind of all the different things Purdue can do off that initial offensive action. We're going to play something similar, this time for a day. So again, they run some sort of screen-the-screener action, very similar stuff. And again, you can see that they're doing the same thing. He's going to come down here. He's going to come up here. The four-man, who's Gillis, he's going to be at the top of the perimeter. And again, he can collect the ball for some sort of high-low action to pass into a day. Or Stevanovic, who's got the ball at the left wing again, he can just pass it into a day who's going to be isolated under the basket, who can either get a foul or who can get an easy two-point shot. So that's kind of everything that's going on. They do that. He gets the ball. He's isolated one-on-one, and he gets the foul. The other good thing is that since you got Gillis at the top of the perimeter, he can now run down for offensive rebounds. Also, when Ade gets the ball, because he's going to draw so much attention, and if he doesn't feel like shooting, he can then pass it out to all these different shooters like Hunter Jr. or Stevanovic. The other thing that they ran in this game, which I thought was kind of cool, another really good offensive action, is they just did it from a sideline out of bounds. But again, they kind of have this action starting here. Now, Hunter Jr. gets the ball at some sort of like double high screen action here, and he starts going down. Now again, he's got all these different options. He can either pass it out to Thompson, who's going to have a wide open three-point shot. If he feels ambitious, he can pass it out to Stevanovic, who's on the left corner. Now Stevanovic and Thompson should probably swap places here. Stevanovic is kind of the better three-point shooter, and he'll be more open on this side. However, he might prefer the left corner, I don't know. If he draws so much attention, he can just drop it off to Williams in the dunker spot, and he can just get a really easy two-point layup. Or he can pass it out to Wheeler, who's at the top of the perimeter. Now, Wheeler's a four-man. However, he is a very good shooter for that position. And if he does get it and he doesn't feel like shooting, he could do another high-low action and just throw it into Williams again and kind of get an easy two-point shot, as we've seen in the previous two sets. However, Hunter Jr. in this option, he goes for the one where he just passes it out to Wheeler, and now he has a wide-open three-point shot. And he shoots, and he makes it. So kind of that's Purdue's offense in essentially three different clips. They have a lot of high-low action, they have a lot of really good shooters, they have a lot of screen-the-screener sort of stuff, and they try and isolate their big man right under the basket. Thank you very much, and hope you learned something.